All right, today our viewer question, they have asked, there's conflicting information about coconut milk. How do you feel about this particular plant milk? And would it be okay to cook with and even to give a young child in place of cow's milk?
Okay, important question, common concern, and we need to start with some clear definitions. Now, I'm a big fan of coconut water, all right, so we understand that. And that's when you have a nice ripe green coconut and you hack off the end with a machete and you open it up and this lovely clear liquid comes out. It is nectar of the gods. It's basically water with some wonderful vitamins and soothing plant molecules in there. Yay, I'm a big fan of coconut water, so yay. In its pure form. Some canned versions of it, they add sugar to it. You shouldn't need that. But pure coconut water out of the coconut, cool. Now, that's different, however, than coconut milk. That's a man-made product. To make coconut milk, they take the white meat from coconut, they grind it up into a mush, and then they cook it with hot water. The fat rises up to the top, this liquid, this white liquid that rises off the top of the cooking coconut meat. That's the coconut milk. And what you've done, because oil dissolves in hot water, basically, at least the hot water will soften the oil, they don't really mix, but the oil will float on top of the hot water. That's what you've done by cooking the coconut meat, and the liquid is the melted oil that you've melted out of the coconut meat. And that's decanted off, and that's coconut milk. It is a highly processed, highly fatty process. It's 92% saturated fat. And it's really pure saturated fat. And man, you don't want to be drinking coconut milk. Why flood your system with saturated fat that may do all sorts of things to your red blood cells and your inside arteries, inside lining of your arteries, and set off inflammatory reactions. Not a healthy thing to do to your body, not a healthy beverage. So you certainly don't want to drink coconut milk. The last two things I want to mention is if you shouldn't be drinking it, you sure don't want to give it to a baby. This is no formula substitute for certainly for human mother's breast milk, this complex, amazing liquid full of proteins and antibodies, etc., versus dumb old coconut milk, which is just coconut oil and particles of coconut meat and suspended in water. Man, that's no substitute for a baby, and you don't want to flood a baby system with all this saturated fat again and again. So the answer is no. It may look like mother's milk, but it sure isn't mother's milk. So it's not a drinking beverage, sure not a substitute for infant formula. Is there any use for it at all? Again, I don't have much use for it. If I'm at a Thai restaurant or my wife wants to make a Thai curry, a couple of teaspoons of coconut milk for just to give that creamy, Thai flavor to it. Probably the damage that does is tiny. Similar of a couple of drops of sesame oil to create a flavor, using as a flavoring, not so bad, and in teaspoon amounts it's okay. I wouldn't be putting in 2 cups of coconut milk into anything. Again, if you're going to be eating that, that's a lot of saturated fat. But as a flavoring, a couple of teaspoons, okay. But have no illusions about what it is. It's coconut flavored saturated fat that you're putting in your food there, and in general, less is more. Hold it to the teaspoon amounts or less, and you ought to be okay. But that's the difference between coconut water, coconut milk. Coconut milk is fatty stuff, not fit for drinking, sure not fit for baby formula. Hi everyone, Dr. Michael Klaper here, announcing our new format for our Q&A with Dr. K. Annie Hagen will be asking me one question that's been sent in by our viewers. So if you want to see if your question is getting answered, do join us for our Q&A with Dr. K right here. Hope to see you then.